Welcome back
Shalom,
to the
my friend.
study.
Before
is
you
not
go to
enough
sleep
to
tonight,
simply
I want you
act.
to
We must
prepare
strive
something.
to understand
It will
why
take you
we
less
act.
than 20 minutes.
That is the true
You will
path
need
to
olive
wisdom.
oil. You will need a
The
white candle.
texts teach
You will
us
need a piece of
that
paper
true
and a pen.
understanding
What you will do
comes
with these
from
things is
quiet
ancient.
reflection.
It comes from the book of
Peace be with
Exodus.
you.
It comes from
In
the laws
today's
of
reading, we
Leviticus.
find a
It comes from
timeless
the
lesson
wisdom my
about
grandfather
patience
taught me
and
when I was drowning in
understanding. Peace is not just the
$180,000 of
absence
debt
of
and
conflict,
could not
but the
breathe.
presence of
This is not about
understanding between
manifesting
people.
abundance.
Let us strive
This
for that.
is not
Welcome
about
back to the
positive
study.
affirmations.
It is not enough
This
to
is not
simply
about the
act.
law of
We must
attraction.
strive to
This
understand
is about
why we
covenant.
act.
This is
That
about
is the true path
purification.
to wisdom.
This is about breaking the
texts
spiritual
teach
chain
us
that
that
keeps you
true
bound to debt,
understanding
no matter how
comes from
hard you
quiet
work, no
reflection.
matter how much you cut,
Peace be
no
with
matter
you.
how many extra
In
jobs you
today's
take.
reading, we
Because
find
debt
a
is not just a
timeless
number
lesson
on a
about
screen.
patience and
Debt is a
understanding.
condition of the soul.
Peace is not
And
just
until
the
you address
absence
the
of
condition of
conflict,
your soul,
but the presence
the
of
number on the
understanding
screen will
between
never
people.
change.
Let
My
us
name is
strive for
Rabbi
that.
Yosef,
Welcome
and
back to the
I
study.
have walked where you
It
are
is not
walking
enough to
now.
simply act.
I know the
We must
weight in your
strive to
chest when you
understand
open the
why we
bank app.
act.
I know
That
the
is
shame when
true
you
path
avoid
to
your
wisdom.
partner's eyes because you
The
don't want to talk
texts
about money
teach us
again.
that
I know
true
the exhaustion of
understanding
working 70
comes
hours a
from
week
quiet
and still
reflection.
seeing the balance grow instead
Peace
of
be with
shrink.
you.
I know the
In
voice
today's
that tells
reading,
you
we
you
find
will
a
never be
timeless
free.
lesson
That
about
voice is a
patience
liar,
and
but you
understanding.
cannot silence it with
Peace is
willpower.
not just the
You
absence
cannot
of
silence it
conflict,
with
but
budgets.
the presence
You
of
cannot silence
understanding
it by
between
working
people.
harder.
Let us strive
You
for that.
silence it with
Welcome back
Torah.
to
You
the
silence
study.
it with fire.
It is
You
not
silence
enough
it
to
with oil
simply
that has
act.
been
We must
sanctified by
strive to
covenant.
understand why
Let
we
me tell
act.
you what happened to me.
That is the true
15
path
years
to
ago,
wisdom.
I was a teacher.
The
I made
texts teach us
$42,000
that
a year.
true
I
understanding
had student loans from
comes
rabbinical
from quiet
school.
reflection.
I had medical debt from when my
Peace
daughter
be
was
with
born
you.
premature
In
and
today's
spent 3
reading,
weeks
we
in the
find a
NICU.
timeless
I had
lesson
credit
about
cards that I used to
patience
cover
and
the gap between
understanding.
what I earned
Peace
and
is
what
not
my
just the
family needed
absence
to
of
survive.
conflict, but
Every
the
month,
presence of
I paid the
understanding
minimums.
between people.
Every month,
Let
the
us
interest
strive for
grew.
that.
Every
back
month,
to the
I told
study.
myself next
It is
month
not
would be
enough to
different. It
simply
never
act.
was.
We must
I was
strive
not
to
lazy.
understand
I was
why
not
we act.
irresponsible.
That is
I was
the true
working as
path
hard
to
as I
wisdom.
knew how.
The
But the debt
texts
kept growing
teach
like a
us
living thing,
that true
feeding on my
understanding
fear,
comes
feeding
from
on my
quiet
shame,
reflection.
feeding on the belief that I
Peace
was
be
trapped
with you.
forever.
In
One night I
today's
could not
reading,
sleep.
we find
I
a
went to my
timeless
grandfather's
lesson about
study. He
patience
was
and
83 years
understanding.
old. He had
Peace is
survived the
not just the
camps.
absence
He
of
had come to
conflict,
America with
but the
nothing
presence of
and built a
understanding
life
between
through
people.
Torah and
Let
through
us strive
discipline.
for that.
I told
Come
him,
back to the
Zaid, I am
study.
drowning. I
It
do
is
not
not
know what
enough
to
to
do.
simply act.
He
We
looked at
must
me for a
strive
long
to
time.
understand why
Then
we
he
act.
said,
That
"You
is
are
the
not
true
drowning
path
in
to
money.
wisdom.
You are
The
drowning in
texts teach
consciousness."
us
I
that
did not
true
understand. He said,
understanding
"Debt
comes
is not
from
a
quiet
financial problem.
reflection.
Debt is a
Peace be
spiritual
with you.
condition. It
In
is the
today's
consciousness
reading,
of
we
being
find a
obligated.
timeless
It is
lesson
the
about
consciousness of
patience
being
and
bound.
understanding.
It is the
Peace
consciousness
is
of
not
being
just the absence
unworthy
of
to
conflict,
receive."
but the
He said,
presence of
"Until
understanding
you
between
change
people.
that
Let us
consciousness,
strive for
you
that.
will
Welcome back to the
always
study.
be in debt.
It is not
Even
enough
if you
to
win the
simply
lottery
act. We
tomorrow,
must strive
you will
to
be back in
understand why
debt
we
within
act.
5 years,
That is the true
because the
path to
consciousness of
wisdom.
debt attracts more
The
debt."
texts
I
teach
said,
us
"How do
that
I
true
change consciousness?"
understanding
He said,
comes from
"You perform
quiet
tikkun.
reflection.
You perform
Peace
repair.
be with you.
You use the
In
tools
today's
Moses used in
reading,
the
we find a
wilderness:
timeless
oil,
lesson
fire,
about
covenant."
patience and
That night he taught
understanding.
me what I am about to
Peace is
teach you.
not just the
It is
absence
not
of conflict,
complicated.
but
It is
the
not
presence of
expensive.
understanding
You do
between
not need
people.
special
Let
training.
us strive
You do
for
not
that.
need to be
Come back to
religious.
the study.
You need to be
It is not enough
willing,
to simply
willing
act.
to
We
face
must
the
strive
shame,
to
willing
understand
to
why
speak
we
the
act.
truth out loud,
That is the
willing
true
to perform
path
an
to
act
wisdom.
that your rational mind
The
will tell you is
texts
foolish,
teach us
because your
that
rational
true
mind is the part
understanding
of you that got you
comes
into
from
debt in the
quiet
first place.
reflection.
Your rational mind said,
Peace be
"Buy
with
now,
you.
pay later."
In
Your
today's
rational
reading,
mind
we
said, "You
find a
deserve this."
timeless
Your
lesson
rational
about
mind said,
patience
"It
and
will work out
understanding.
somehow." Your
Peace is
rational
not
mind
just the
lied.
absence of
Now
conflict,
you need something
but the
deeper than
presence
your
of
rational
understanding
mind.
between
You
people.
need the part of
Let us
you
strive for
that
that.
remembers.
Welcome back to the
Covenant.
study.
The
It is
part
not
of you
enough
that
to simply
remembers that you were
act. We must
created in
strive
the
to
image of the
understand why we
infinite.
act.
The part of
That
you
is
that
the
knows
true
you were
path
not
to
made to be
wisdom.
a slave to Chase
The
Bank or
texts
Capital
teach
One
us
or
that
any
true
creditor on this
understanding
earth. Here is
comes
what what my
from
grandfather
quiet
taught me that
reflection.
night. He said, in the
Peace
book
be
of
with you.
Exodus, when the
In
Israelites were
today's reading,
enslaved in
we
Egypt,
find a
they could
timeless
not free
lesson
themselves
about
through hard
patience
work.
and
They
understanding.
tried. They
Peace
made
is not
bricks
just the
faster.
absence of
They worked
conflict,
longer
but
hours.
the presence
It
of
did not matter.
understanding between
Pharaoh's
people.
quotas
Let us
always
strive for that.
increased.
Welcome back to the
They were
study.
freed through
It is not
covenant,
enough to
through
simply
blood
act.
on the
We must
doorposts,
strive to
through
understand
fire
why
in the
we
wilderness,
That
through
is the
oil
true
on the
path
altar.
to wisdom.
He said,
The
debt is your
texts teach
Egypt.
us
Your
that
creditors
true
are your Pharaoh.
understanding
You cannot
comes
work your
from
way out.
quiet reflection.
You must covenant your way
Peace
out.
be with you.
The ritual is
In
simple.
today's reading,
First
we
you gather
find
the
a timeless
materials.
lesson about
Olive oil,
patience and
one white
understanding.
candle, One
Peace
piece of
is not
paper,
just the absence
one
of
pen.
conflict, but the
Second,
presence of
you prepare
understanding
yourself.
between people.
You wash your
Let us
hands.
strive for that.
You sit in a
Come back
quiet
to the
place
study.
where you
It
will
is
not
not
be
enough to
disturbed
simply
for 20
act. We must
minutes.
strive to
Third,
understand why
you
we
write on the
act.
paper the total
That is
amount
the
of
true
your debt,
path to wisdom.
not rounded.
The
The exact
texts
number.
teach us
If it is
that true understanding
47,328.16,
comes from
you write
quiet reflection. Peace be with
47,328.16.
you.
You look
In
at it.
today's
You
reading,
feel
we
the weight
find
of
a
it.
timeless
Fourth,
lesson
you
about
light the candle.
patience and
You say
understanding.
out loud, "This
Peace is
fire
not just the
represents the
absence of
covenant of
conflict,
Abraham,
but the
Isaac, and
presence of
Jacob.
understanding
This fire
between people.
represents the
Let
presence
us
of the
strive for
eternal
that.
in my life.
Come back to the
This
study.
fire will
It is
consume
not
the
enough to
consciousness
simply
of
act.
debt."
We must strive
Fifth,
to
you
understand
take
why
the
we
olive
act.
oil. You
That is
dip
the
your
true
right
path
thumb
to
into it.
wisdom.
You anoint your
The
forehead and
texts
say,
teach us
"I break
that
the
true
consciousness of shame."
understanding comes
Sixth,
from
you
quiet
anoint your heart and
reflection.
say, "I break the consciousness
Peace
of
be with you.
unworthiness."
In
Seventh,
today's reading,
you
we
anoint your
find
right
a
hand and
timeless
say,
lesson
"I
about
break the
patience and
consciousness of
understanding.
powerlessness."
Peace
Eighth,
is not just
you
the
take the
absence of
paper with the
conflict,
debt written
but
on
the
it.
presence of
You hold it over the
understanding
candle
between
flame.
people.
You do not burn
Let
it
us
yet.
strive
You
for
say,
that.
"This
Come back
number
to the
does not
study.
define me.
It is not
This
enough
number
to
does not
simply
own
act.
me.
We must
This
strive
number
to
is leaving my
understand why
life."
we act.
Ninth,
That is the
you
true
burn the
path to
paper
wisdom.
completely. You
The
watch it turn to
texts teach
ash.
us
As it
that true
burns,
understanding
you say, "I
comes
release
from
this debt
quiet
from my
reflection.
consciousness. I release this
Peace be
shame
with
from
you.
my soul.
In
I
today's
open
reading,
myself to
we
receive
find
the
a
abundance
timeless
that is my
lesson about
covenant
patience
birthright."
and
10th,
understanding.
you sit in silence
Peace
for
is not
5
just the
minutes.
absence
You
of
do not
conflict,
think.
but the
You do not
presence of
plan.
understanding
You simply
between people.
breathe and feel the
Let us
shift
strive
happening
for that.
inside you.
Welcome back
When
to
I
the
did this
study.
ritual the
It
first
is not
time,
enough
something
to
broke
simply
inside
act.
me.
We must
I
strive
cannot
to
explain it
understand why we
scientifically.
act.
I can only
That is
tell
the
you
true
what happened.
path to
The
wisdom.
next morning, I
The
woke up
texts
and the
teach
fear
us
was gone.
that true
Not the debt.
understanding
The fear,
comes from
the
quiet
shame, the
reflection.
belief that I was trapped.
Peace be
I
with
opened
you.
my laptop and I
In
looked at
today's
my debt
reading, we
spreadsheet.
find a
For the
timeless
first time in
lesson
5
about
years,
patience
I did
and
not feel my
understanding.
chest tighten.
Peace
I
is not
felt
just the
calm.
absence of
I felt
conflict,
clear.
but the
And from
presence
that
of
clarity,
understanding
I
between
saw
people.
3 things I
Let
could
us
do
strive
that
for
day.
that.
Not
Come back to
someday,
the study.
that day.
It is not
First,
enough
I
to
called the
simply
hospital
act. We
where
must
my daughter
strive
had
to
been treated.
understand why we
I asked
act.
to speak to the
That is
billing
the true
department.
path to
I
wisdom.
explained my
The
situation.
texts
I
teach
asked if there
us
was any
that
program
true
that could reduce the
understanding
bill. There
comes from
was.
quiet
I
reflection.
filled out the paperwork.
Peace be with
They
you.
reduced the debt by
In today's reading, we
$11,000.
find a
Second, I
timeless
went to the
lesson
credit
about
union where I
patience
had my
and
checking account.
understanding.
I asked if
Peace
they
is not
offered
just
debt
the absence of
consolidation
conflict,
loans.
but the
They
presence
did.
of
The
understanding
interest rate
between
was
people.
7%
Let us
instead of
strive
the
for that.
23%
Come back
I
to
was
the
paying
study.
on my credit
It
cards.
is not enough to
I moved
simply act. We must
$40,000 of
strive to
credit card
understand
debt
why
to the
we act.
consolidation loan.
That is the
My
true
monthly
path to
payment
wisdom.
dropped by
The texts
$380.
teach us
Third,
that
I
true
looked at my
understanding
skills. I was
comes
a
from
rabbi.
quiet
I was a
reflection.
teacher. I was trained
Peace
in
be with
Torah.
you.
I
In
created a
today's
small
reading,
class on
we find
Thursday
a
nights,
timeless lesson
teaching
about
Torah to adults
patience
who
and
wanted to deepen their
understanding.
understanding.
Peace
I
is not
charged
just the
$20
absence
per
of
person.
conflict, but
8
the
people
presence
came.
of understanding
That was
between people.
$160 a week.
Let us strive
That was
for that.
Come back to the
$640 a
study.
month.
It
None
is
of
not
these
enough
actions
to simply
required
act.
magic.
We must strive
None
to
of these actions
understand why we
required a
act.
miracle.
That
They
is the true
required
path to
consciousness.
wisdom.
They required
The
clarity.
texts
They
teach
required
us
the absence
that
of shame
true
and fear.
understanding
The ritual did
comes
not
from
pay my
quiet
debt. The
reflection.
ritual changed my
Peace be with
consciousness.
you.
The
In
consciousness
today's
changed my
reading, we
actions.
find a
The
timeless
actions
lesson
changed my
about
life.
patience and
Within 3
understanding.
years, I was
Peace is not just
completely
the absence
debt-free.
of conflict,
But the ritual
but the
was only the
presence of
beginning.
understanding
The ritual
between
was the
people.
opening.
Let us
After the
strive for
ritual,
that.
I had to
Come back
act.
to
I
the
had to
study.
negotiate.
It is
I
not
had to
enough to
build.
simply
I had
act.
to
We must
discipline
strive to
myself.
understand
If
why
you do
we
the
act.
ritual tonight and
That
then
is
do
the
nothing
true path
tomorrow,
to wisdom.
you will still be in
The
debt.
texts
But if you do
teach
the
us
ritual tonight
that
and then
true
take 3 concrete
understanding
actions tomorrow,
comes from
you will
quiet
begin the
reflection.
process of liberation.
Peace
I
be
want to be
with you.
very clear about
In
something.
today's reading,
This is
we
not
find
magic.
a timeless
This is not
lesson about
superstition.
patience
This
and
is not a
understanding.
shortcut.
Peace is
This
not
is
just the
ancient
absence
technology.
of conflict,
This is the
but the
same
presence of
technology Moses
understanding
used to
between
free the
people.
Israelites.
Let us strive
This is the
for
same
that.
technology
Come back to the
Aaron used
study.
to consecrate
It
the
is not
priesthood.
enough to simply
This is the
act.
same
We must
technology
strive to
King David
understand
used
why
to
we
prepare
act.
for the building of
That
the
is the
temple.
true path to
Oil and
wisdom.
fire are not
The
symbols.
texts
They are
teach us
tools.
that
They
true
work on the level of
understanding
consciousness.
comes from
And
quiet
consciousness
reflection.
is the operating system
Peace
of
be
your
with
life.
you.
If your
In
operating
today's
system
reading, we
is
find a
running the program
timeless
called
lesson about
I am trapped
patience
in
and
debt,
understanding.
then no matter what,
Peace is not just
apps
the
you
absence
install,
of
budgets,
conflict,
side
but
hustles,
the
investment
presence of
strategies,
understanding
the
between
underlying
people.
program will
Let us strive
sabotage
for
them.
that.
But if
Welcome
you
back to
change
the
the
study.
operating system
It is
to
not enough
I am
to
free
simply
to receive
act. We must
abundance through
strive to
covenant,
understand why we
then
act.
every action you
That is the
take
true
will
path
be
to
aligned
wisdom.
with that new
The
program.
texts
The
teach
Kabbalists
us
teach that
that
there are
true
two types of
understanding
consciousness:
comes
Mochin
from
de
quiet
Katnut,
reflection.
small-mindedness, and
Peace be
Mochin
with
de
you.
Gadlut,
In today's
expanded
reading, we
consciousness.
find a
Debt
timeless
is
lesson
Mochin
about
de Katnut.
patience and
It makes you
understanding.
small.
Peace
It
is
makes you
not just the
afraid.
absence of
It makes you
conflict,
believe
but the
you
presence
have
of
no options.
understanding between
The
people.
ritual
Let
expands
us
your
strive for
consciousness.
that. It lifts you into Mochin de
It is not
Gadlut,
enough to
and from
simply
that
act. We
expanded
must
state,
strive to
you see
understand why we
solutions
act.
you could not see
That is the
before.
true path
Let
to
me
wisdom.
tell you about Michael.
The texts
Michael was a
teach us
contractor.
that
He had a
true
good business.
understanding
But in
comes from
2019,
quiet
he made a
reflection.
mistake. He took out a loan
Peace
to
be
buy
with
new
you.
equipment
In
before he
today's
had the
reading, we
contracts to
find a
justify it.
timeless lesson
The
about
contracts fell
patience
through.
and
The
understanding.
payments on the loan
Peace
did
is not just the
By
absence of
2021,
conflict, but
he
the
was
presence of understanding
$65,000 in
between
debt.
people.
He was
Let us
working
strive for
16-hour
that.
days
Come
trying
back to
to
the study.
dig himself
It is
out.
not enough to
But
simply
the more he
act.
worked,
We
the
must
more
strive to
exhausted he
understand
became.
why we act.
And the more exhausted
That
he
is the
became,
true
the more
path to
mistakes he
wisdom.
made on jobs.
The texts
And the more
teach
mistakes he
us
made,
that
the more
true
he had to spend
understanding
fixing them.
comes
He was
from
in a death
quiet
spiral.
reflection.
A friend told him about
Peace
the
be
ritual.
with you.
Michael is
In
not a
today's
religious man.
reading,
He
we
grew up
find a
Jewish but had not
timeless
been to
lesson
synagogue
about
in 20
patience
years.
and
He
understanding.
thought the whole thing
Peace
sounded
is not just the
ridiculous,
absence of
but he was
conflict,
desperate.
but the
So he
presence of
tried it.
understanding
He gathered
between
the oil,
people.
the candle,
Let us
the
strive
paper.
for that.
He
Welcome back to
wrote
the
down
study. It is not enough to
$65,000.
simply
He
act.
anointed
We must
himself.
strive to
He
understand
burned the
why we
paper.
act.
He sat
That
in
is the true
silence.
path to
He told
wisdom.
me later,
The
Rabbi,
texts
I
teach
felt
us
like I had been
that
carrying a
true
backpack full of
understanding
stones, and I did
comes
not
from
even know it was
quiet
there until I
reflection.
took it off. The
Peace
next
be
day,
with you.
he did three
In
things.
today's reading,
First,
we
he
find
called
a
his three
timeless
biggest
lesson
clients and
about
explained the
patience and
situation.
understanding.
He asked if they would be
Peace
willing
is
to
not
prepay
just the absence of
25%
conflict,
on upcoming
but the
jobs
presence
to
of
help him
understanding
stabilize.
between people.
Two of them said
Let us
yes.
strive for that.
That gave him
Welcome back to the study.
$18,000 in
It is not
immediate
enough
cash
to
flow.
simply act. We
Second,
must strive
he
to
went
understand why
to
we
his
act.
bank and
That is the true
refinanced
path
the
to
equipment
wisdom.
loan at a lower rate.
The texts
That reduced
teach
his
us
monthly payment
that
by
true
$420.
understanding
Third,
comes from
he
quiet
stopped taking
reflection.
every job that came his
Peace
way.
be with you.
He started saying
In
no to
today's
projects
reading,
that
we
were too
find a
small or
timeless
too far
lesson
away
about
or too
patience and
stressful. He
understanding.
focused only on the
Peace
work
is
that
not
was
just the
profitable and
absence of
sustainable.
conflict, but
Within
the
18
presence of
months, the
understanding between people.
$65,000 was paid
Let
off,
us strive
not
for
through a
that.
miracle,
Welcome back to the
through
study.
clarity,
It is
through
not enough to
decisions
simply
he could
act.
not
We
make
must
when he was
strive to
operating
understand
from
why we
fear.
act.
Parte
That is
2.
the true path
Now let
to
me
wisdom.
tell you about
The
Jennifer.
texts teach
Jennifer was a
us
nurse. She
that
made
true
$68,000 a year.
comes from
Good
quiet
salary,
reflection.
but she had
Peace be with
$94,000
you.
in debt.
In
Credit
today's
cards,
reading, we
a
find
car
a
loan she
timeless
could not
lesson
afford,
about
a
patience
personal
and
loan she took out to
understanding.
help her sister,
Peace is
who
not
never
just
paid
the
her
absence
back.
of conflict,
Every month,
but the
she paid
presence of understanding between
$2,100
people.
just in
Let
minimum
us strive
payments.
for that.
That
Come
left
back to
almost
the
nothing for
study.
savings,
It is not
nothing
enough
for
to simply
emergencies,
act. We must
nothing for
strive to
life.
understand why
She was
we
trapped
act.
in a cycle.
That is the
She
true
would pay
path
down
to wisdom.
$500 on
The
one card,
texts teach
then an
us
emergency would
that
happen,
true
car
understanding
repair, medical
comes
bill,
from quiet
broken,
reflection.
appliance, and she would put
Peace be with you.
$700 on another
In
card.
today's reading,
2
we
steps
find
forward,
a
3
timeless
steps back.
lesson about
She
patience
came to one of my
and
Torah classes.
understanding.
After
Peace
class,
is
she
not just
stayed.
the absence
She
of
said,
conflict, but
"Rabbi,
the
I
presence
need
of
help.
understanding
I am
between
drowning."
people.
I taught
Let
her
us
the
strive
ritual.
for that.
She was
Come back to
skeptical.
the study.
She said,
It is
"How
not
is
enough to
oil and
simply
a candle
act. We
going to
must
change
strive
my
to
bank
understand
account?"
why we act.
I said,
That
"It will
is the
not
true
change your
path
bank
to
account.
wisdom.
It will change
The
your
texts
consciousness,
teach us
and your
that
consciousness
true
will change your
understanding
actions,
comes
and your
from
actions
quiet
will
reflection.
change your bank account."
Peace
She
be
did
with
the
you.
ritual
In
on a
today's
Thursday
reading,
night.
we find a
Friday morning,
timeless
she woke
lesson
up
about
and felt
patience
different,
and
lighter,
understanding.
clearer.
Peace is
She
not
sat
just the
down and
absence
did
of
something she had
conflict,
been
but
avoiding
the
for
presence
6
of
months.
understanding
She made a
between
list of
people.
every single
Let us
debt,
strive for
every
that.
creditor,
Come back to the
every
study.
interest rate,
It is not
every
enough to
minimum
simply
payment.
act. We must
Looking
strive
at
to
it hurt,
understand why we
but
act.
for the first time it
That
did
is the
not
true
paralyze
path
her.
to wisdom.
She called every
The
creditor,
texts
one
teach
by
us
one.
that
She
true
explained her
understanding
situation. She
comes
asked
from
what
quiet
options they had for
reflection.
hardship programs,
Peace be
payment
with you.
plans,
In
interest rate
today's reading, we
reductions.
find a
5.
timeless
Out
lesson
of 7
about
creditors
patience
worked with
and
her.
understanding.
One reduced her interest
Peace
rate
is
from
not just the
24%
absence
to
of conflict,
12%.
but the presence
Another
of
put her on a
understanding
hardship
between
plan that
people.
froze interest
Let
for
us
12
strive for
months.
that. Come
Another
back to the
agreed to
study.
settle the debt
It
for
is not enough to
60% of the
simply
balance
act. We
if
must
she could
strive
pay
to
it in a lump
understand why
sum.
we act.
She did not have
That
a
is
lump
the
sum,
true path
but
to
she had
wisdom.
something else. She had a
The
401k
texts teach us
from a previous
that
job
true
with $8,000 in it.
comes
She had been
from
told never
quiet
to touch
reflection.
retirement money, but
Peace
she
be
did
with
the
you.
math. The
In
penalty and
today's
taxes
reading,
would
we
cost her
find a
timeless lesson about
$3,400,
patience
but
and
settling a
understanding.
$12,000
Peace is not
debt for
just the absence of conflict,
$7,200
but the
would
presence
save
of
her
understanding between
$4,800.
people.
She
Let
took
us
the
strive
money.
for that.
She
Come
settled the
back to the
debt.
study.
She
It is
eliminated
not
one
enough to
entire
simply
creditor
act.
from
We
her
must
life.
strive to
Then she
understand
looked
why
at her
we act.
skills. She
That
was
is
a
the
nurse.
true path to
She
wisdom.
worked 3
The
12-hour
texts
shifts per
teach
week.
us
That
that
left
true
4 days.
understanding
She started
comes
picking up
from
PRN
quiet
shifts
reflection.
as needed shifts that
Peace
paid
be with
30% more per
In
hour than
today's
her regular
reading, we
rate.
find a
Just 2
timeless lesson
PRN
about
shifts per month
patience and
gave her an extra
understanding. Peace is
$100.
not just the
She put
absence
every
of
dollar of
conflict,
that extra
but the
income
presence of
toward
understanding
debt,
between people.
not toward
Let us
life,
strive for
not
that.
toward
Come
fun,
back to the study.
toward freedom.
It is not
Within
enough to
2
simply
years, all
act. We must strive to
$94,000 was
understand
gone, she
why
told
we
me.
act.
Rabbi,
That
the
is the
ritual
true
did not
path
pay
to
my
wisdom.
debt. But it gave me the courage to
texts
look at
teach
it,
us
and once
that
I could
true
look at it without
understanding
shame,
comes
I
from
could deal with
quiet
it.
reflection.
That is the power of the
Peace be
ritual.
with you.
It does not
In
eliminate
today's
the debt.
reading, we find
It
a
eliminates the
timeless lesson
consciousness
about
of shame and
patience and
powerlessness
understanding.
that keeps you from
Peace
dealing
is
with the
not just
debt.
the absence
Here
of
is what you
conflict,
need to
but the
understand.
presence of
The
understanding
Torah teaches
between
that there are
people.
two types of
Let us
slavery.
strive for that.
There is
Come back
physical
to the study.
slavery,
It is not
when
enough
someone
to
else
simply
owns your
act.
body.
We must strive
And there
to
is spiritual
understand why we
slavery,
act.
when you
That is
believe
the
you are
true
owned
path
even
to
after
wisdom.
you are free.
The
When the
texts
Israelites left
teach us
Egypt, they
that
were
true
physically free.
understanding
But for 40
comes
years
from
in the
quiet
wilderness,
reflection.
they still had the consciousness of
Peace be with
slaves.
you.
They
In
complained.
today's
They
reading, we
doubted.
find a
They wanted
timeless
to go
lesson
back to
about
Egypt because at
patience
least
and
in Egypt they
understanding.
knew what to
Peace
expect.
is not just the
Moses
absence
had
of
to wait for
conflict,
that
but the
generation to
presence of
die
understanding
before the
between
next
people.
generation,
Let us
the
strive for
generation
that.
born in
Come back to
freedom,
the study.
could enter
It is not
the
enough to
promised
simply
land.
act.
You
We
do
must
not have
strive
40
to
years,
understand why we
but
act.
you do need to let
That
the
is
slave
true path
consciousness
to
die.
wisdom.
And that is what the ritual
texts
does.
teach us
It kills the
that
slave
true
consciousness.
understanding
It breaks the
comes
belief
from
that you
quiet
are owned
reflection.
by your debt.
Peace
Because
be
you are
with
not
you.
owned by your
In
debt.
today's
You are
reading, we
temporarily
find a
obligated
timeless
to your debt.
lesson
There is a
about
difference.
patience and
Ownership is
understanding.
permanent.
Peace is not
Obligation
just
is
the absence
temporary.
of conflict,
Obligation
but the
can be
presence of
negotiated.
understanding between
Obligation
people.
can be
Let
paid.
us strive for that.
Obligation can
Come
be
back to the
released.
study.
But if you
It is
believe
not
you
enough
are
to
owned,
simply act. We
you
must strive
will
to
never
understand why
negotiate.
we act.
You will never
That is
challenge.
the
You will
true
never
path
ask
to
for
wisdom.
relief. You will just
The
accept the
texts
terms and
teach us
suffer.
that
The
true
ritual wakes you up to the
understanding
truth.
comes
You are
from
not a
quiet
slave.
reflection.
You are a free person who
Peace
is
be with you.
temporarily
In
obligated.
today's
And free
reading, we
people have
find a
options. Let me
timeless
show you what
lesson
I
about
mean.
patience
In the book
and
of Leviticus,
understanding.
there is a law about
Peace
the
is not
Jubilee
just the
year.
absence of
Every
conflict,
50
but
years,
the
all
presence of
debts were
understanding
forgiven.
between
All
people.
slaves were
Let us
freed.
strive for
All
that.
land was
Come back to
returned
the
to its
study.
original owners.
It is not enough to
Why?
simply act.
Because
We
the
must
Torah
strive to understand
understands
why we
that
act.
debt unchecked
That is the true
creates
path to
permanent
wisdom.
underclasses.
The
It creates
texts
families that
teach
are
us
enslaved for
that true
generations.
understanding
It creates systems
comes
where the
from
rich get
quiet
richer
reflection.
and the poor get crushed.
Peace be with
The
you.
Jubilee was a
In
reset
today's
button.
reading,
It
we
said,
find a
no matter
timeless
how bad
lesson
things
about
have gotten, there is
patience
always
and
a way back to
understanding.
zero. We
Peace
do
is
not have
not
a
just the
Jubilee year
absence
in
of
modern
conflict,
America,
but the
but we
presence
do
of
have
understanding
bankruptcy.
between people.
We do have debt
Let us
settlement.
strive for that.
We do have
Come back to the
negotiation.
study.
We
It is
do
not
have
enough to
hardship
simply
programs.
act. We must
We
strive
do
to
have
understand why we
consolidation.
act.
Most
That is the true
people
path
do not
to
use
wisdom.
these tools because they are
The
ashamed.
texts teach
They
us
think
that
good
true
people pay their debts.
understanding
Only
comes from
failures
quiet
declare
reflection.
bankruptcy. Only losers
Peace be with you.
negotiate. That
In
is slave
today's
consciousness
reading, we
talking.
find a
Free
timeless
people
lesson
use
about
every legal
patience
tool
and
available to them.
understanding.
Free people
Peace is not
negotiate.
just the absence
Free
of
people ask
conflict,
for relief.
but the presence
Free
of
people protect
understanding
their
between
families and
people.
their futures.
Let us strive
The
for
ritual
that.
helps you
Come back to
remember
the study.
that you are free.
It is not enough
Now
to
I
simply
need to tell
act.
you
We
something
must strive
difficult.
to
The
understand why
ritual
we
works,
act.
but
That
only
is
if
the
you
true
act
path to
after the
wisdom.
ritual.
The
I
texts
have seen
teach
people
us
do the
that
ritual and
true
feel the shift.
understanding
They feel
comes
lighter.
from quiet
They feel
reflection.
hopeful. They feel clear.
Peace
And
be
then
with
they
you.
do nothing.
In
They go back
today's
to
reading,
work.
we find
They go
a
back to their
timeless lesson
routines.
about
They go
patience
back
and
to avoiding their
understanding.
debt. And
Peace
within
is
a
not
week,
just the
the
absence
old
of
consciousness
conflict,
returns.
but the presence
The
of
fear
understanding
returns. The
between
shame
people.
returns.
Let us
Why?
strive
Because
for that.
consciousness is
Come
not
back to the
permanent
study.
unless it
It
is
is not enough to
reinforced by
simply
action.
act. We must
You
strive
cannot
to
just think
understand
your
why
way
we
into
act.
freedom.
That
You
is the
cannot
true
just
path
feel
to
your way
wisdom.
into freedom.
The
You must
texts
act your
teach
way
us that
into
true
freedom. The
understanding
ritual opens the
comes from
door,
quiet
but you must
reflection.
walk through the door. Here
Peace
is
be
what I
with
want
you.
you to do tomorrow.
In today's
After you
reading, we
perform the
find a
ritual
timeless
tonight,
lesson
before you
about
go to sleep,
patience and
I want you to
understanding.
write down 3
Peace is
actions you
not
will
just
take
the
tomorrow.
absence of
Not
conflict,
someday,
but the presence of
tomorrow.
understanding
These
between
actions must be
people.
concrete.
Let us strive
They
for
must be
that.
specific.
Come back to the
They must
study.
move you toward
It is
freedom.
not enough to simply
Examples.
act. We must strive
Action
to
1.
understand why
Call
we
the
act.
credit card company
That
with
is
the
the true
highest
path
interest
to
rate
wisdom.
and ask them to lower the rate
texts
or
teach us
transfer me to a
that
hardship.
true understanding
Program.
comes
Action
from
2.
quiet
List one
reflection.
thing I own that I do
Peace
not
be
need
with
and
you.
sell it online
In
today.
today's reading,
Action
we
3.
find a timeless
Research
lesson
one
about
additional source of
patience
income.
and
I
understanding.
can start within 30
Peace
days.
is not just the absence
Freelance
of
work,
conflict,
part-time
but the
job,
presence of
selling a skill.
understanding between
Do not
people.
make the the
Let
actions
us
too
strive
big.
for that.
Do not
Come
say,
back
I will
to the
pay off
study.
$10,000
It is not
this
enough
month.
to simply
That
act.
is not an
We must
action, that
strive
is a
to understand
fantasy.
why we
Make
act.
the action
That
small
is the
enough
true
that
path
you can
to
actually
wisdom.
complete them
The
tomorrow.
texts
Small
teach us
actions create
that true
momentum.
understanding
Momentum
comes
creates
from quiet
confidence.
reflection.
Confidence creates
Peace be
bigger
with you.
actions.
In
This is
today's
how you
reading,
climb
we
out of
find a
debt,
timeless
not with one
lesson about
giant leap,
patience
with
and
1,000 small
understanding.
steps.
Peace
The
is not
Talmud
just the
teaches,
absence of
one who
conflict,
grasps
but
too
the
much
presence of
grasps
understanding
nothing.
between
One who
people.
grasps a
Let us
little
strive for that.
grasps
Come
something.
back to the
Do
study.
not try to solve
It is
your
not
entire
enough to
debt
simply
problem
act.
tomorrow.
We must strive
Just
to
take 3
understand
small
why we
steps.
act.
Then the
That
next
is the
day
true
take 3
path
more.
to
Then the
wisdom.
next day 3 more.
The texts
Within 30
teach us
days, You
that
will have
true
taken 90
understanding
actions.
comes from
90
quiet
actions will
reflection.
change your life, but you
Peace
must
be with
start
you.
tonight.
In
Because
today's
if you wait
reading, we find
until
a
you feel
timeless
ready,
lesson
you
about
will never feel
patience
ready.
and
If
understanding.
you wait until the debt is
Peace
smaller,
is
the
not
debt
just
will
the
never get
absence of
smaller.
conflict,
If you
but
wait
the
until you
presence
have
of
more time,
understanding
you
between
will never
people.
have more
Let
time.
us strive
You
for
must
that.
act from
Come
where
back
you
to the
are,
study.
with what
It
you
is not
have
enough to simply
right now.
act. We must strive
Moses
to
did not
understand
wait
why
until
we
he was
act.
eloquent to
That is
confront
the true
Pharaoh.
path to
He
wisdom.
stuttered. He
The
was
texts
terrified.
teach us
But he went anyway.
that true
David did not
understanding
wait until he was
comes from
trained as a
quiet
warrior to
reflection.
fight Goliath. He was a
Peace be
shepherd
with you.
boy. But he
In
fought
today's
anyway.
reading, we find a
Esther
timeless
did not
lesson about
wait until
patience
she was
and
powerful to
understanding.
save her people.
Peace is
She was
not
a
just
woman
the
in a
absence of
patriarchal
conflict,
empire.
but the
But
presence
she
of
acted
understanding
anyway.
between
You do
people.
not need to be
Let us
ready.
strive
You
for
need
that.
to be willing.
Come back to the
Now
study.
let me tell you what
It is
will
not
happen
enough
when
to
you do
simply
the
act.
ritual
We
and
must
take
strive
action.
to understand
You
why
will
we
feel
act.
resistance.
That is the
Your
true
mind will
path
tell
to
you this is
wisdom.
foolish. Your mind will
The
tell you it will
texts
not
teach
work.
us
Your mind
that
will
true
tell you to wait, to
understanding
plan more,
comes from
to be
quiet
realistic.
reflection.
Ignore that
Peace
voice.
be with you.
That is the voice
In
of
today's
Egypt.
reading, we
That is the
find a
voice of
timeless
slavery.
lesson about
That
patience and
is the voice that
understanding.
wants you to stay where
Peace
you
is
are
not
because
just
where
the
you are
absence
is
of
familiar.
conflict,
And
but the
familiar feels
presence of
safe
understanding
even when it
between
is
people.
destroying you.
Let us
You will
strive
also
for that.
feel fear.
Come back to the
When you
study.
call your
It
creditors,
is not
your
enough to
hands will
simply
shake.
act. We must
When you
strive
write
to
down your
understand
debt,
why we
your
act.
chest will tighten.
That is the true
When you
path
take
to
action,
wisdom.
you will feel vulnerable.
The texts
Good.
teach us
That means you are doing
that
it
true
right.
understanding
Courage is not the
comes
absence
from
of fear.
quiet
Courage
reflection.
is action in the presence
Peace
of
be
fear.
with you.
And you will feel
In today's
doubt.
reading, we
After the
find a
ritual,
timeless
you
lesson
will
about
wonder,
patience and
did that actually
understanding.
do anything?
Peace is
Did I
not
just
just the
waste 20
absence of
minutes with
conflict,
oil and a
but the
candle?
presence of
The proof will
understanding
come not
between
in how
people.
you feel
Let
during
us
the
strive
ritual,
for that.
but in
Come
what
back
you
to the
do
study.
after the
It
ritual.
is not enough to
If you
simply
take action
act. We must
tomorrow,
strive
you
to
will know it
understand why
worked.
we act.
If you do not
That
take
is the
action,
true path to
it does not
wisdom.
matter how good the
The
ritual felt.
texts teach
The
us
Kabbalists
that
teach
true
that there are four
understanding
worlds.
comes from
Absolute,
quiet
the world of
reflection.
emanation.
Peace be
Beriah,
with you.
the world of
In
creation.
today's reading, we
Yetzirah,
find a
the
timeless
world of
lesson about
formation.
patience and
Asiya, the
understanding.
world of action.
Peace is not just
Most
the absence of
people live
conflict,
only in
but the
Asiya.
presence of
They work,
understanding
they
between
struggle.
people.
They try to
Let
solve
us strive
physical
for that.
problems with
Come
physical
back to
effort
the
alone.
study.
But
It is not
physical
enough to
problems
simply
often
act.
have
We must
spiritual
strive to
roots.
understand why we
Debt
act.
is one of them.
That is the
Debt
true
is
path
not just
to
a
wisdom.
lack of money.
The
It is a
texts
consciousness
teach
of
us
lack,
that
a
true
belief in
understanding
scarcity, a
comes
disconnection
from
from the
quiet
flow of
reflection.
abundance that the universe
Peace be
offers to
with you.
those who are aligned
In
with
today's
covenant.
reading, we
The
find a
ritual works in
timeless lesson
Absolute
about
and Beria,
patience and
the spiritual
understanding.
worlds. It
Peace is not
shifts
just
your
the absence
emanation.
of conflict,
It
but the
recreates your
presence of
inner
understanding between
reality.
people.
But that
Let
shift
us
must
strive for
descend
that.
through
Come
Yetzirah,
back to the study.
formation,
It
and
is
into
not enough to
Asiya,
simply
action.
act. We must
If the
strive to
shift
understand
stays in the
why we
spiritual
act.
worlds
That
and
is the
never
true
becomes
path to
action,
wisdom.
it
The
dissipates.
texts
It
teach
fades.
us
It
that
was real,
true
but it
understanding
did not last
comes
because it was
from
not
quiet
anchored in the
reflection.
physical world. You
Peace
anchor
be
it through
with you.
action,
In
through phone
today's
calls,
reading, we
through
find a timeless
negotiations,
lesson
through
about
discipline,
patience and
through work.
understanding.
This is the
Peace
covenant.
is not just the
God
absence
does
of
not do it
conflict,
for you.
but the
You do
presence
not
of
do it alone.
understanding between
You do
people.
it together.
Let us strive
You
for
bring
that.
the willingness.
Come back to the study.
God
It is
brings
not
the
enough
opening.
to simply act.
You bring
we
the
must
action.
strive to understand
God brings
why
the
we
result.
act. That
But
is
if you
the
do
true
not
path
bring the
to
action,
wisdom.
there is no
The
partnership.
texts
There is
teach
only
us
waiting.
that true
And waiting changes
understanding
nothing.
comes
So
from
tonight,
quiet
you
reflection.
will do the ritual. You will
Peace be
gather
with
the
you.
olive oil,
In
the white
today's
candle,
reading,
the
we
paper,
find
the
a
pen.
timeless
You will
lesson
wash
about
your hands.
patience and
You will sit in a
understanding.
quiet place.
Peace is
You
not
will
just
write
the
your
absence
debt.
of
You
conflict,
will light the
but the
candle.
presence of
You will
understanding
anoint
between
yourself.
people.
You will
Let us
burn the
strive for
paper.
that.
You
Come
will
back to the
sit in
study.
silence.
It is not
And
enough to
tomorrow,
simply act.
you
We
will
must
act.
strive to understand why we
will
act.
make the calls.
That is the
You
true
will send
path
the
to
emails.
wisdom.
You will research. You
The
will sell. You will
texts teach
negotiate.
us
You will build.
that true
And the day after
understanding
tomorrow, you
comes
will
from
act again
quiet
and
reflection.
again and again.
Peace be with you.
Until one day,
In
you
today's
will wake
reading,
up
we find
and
a
the debt will be
timeless
gone.
lesson about
Not because of
patience
magic,
and understanding.
because of covenant,
Peace is
because
not
of
just the
discipline,
absence of
because of
conflict,
action
but the
rooted in
presence of
consciousness,
understanding between
rooted in
people.
the eternal
Let us
covenant
strive for
between
that.
you and
Come
the the
back to the
infinite.
study.
This
It is not
the
enough
path.
to simply act.
This
We
is
must
the
strive
way.
to understand
This
why we act.
has always been
That
the
is
way.
the true path to
Part
wisdom.
A3. Now
The
I want
texts
to
teach
talk
us
about the cost of
that
not
true
doing this.
understanding
Because there is a
comes
cost, a
from
real
quiet
cost, not just
reflection.
financial,
Peace
spiritual.
be with you.
Every day you stay in the
today's
consciousness
reading,
of
we
debt.
find a
You are
timeless
teaching your
lesson
children
about
that this is
patience
normal,
and understanding.
that being trapped is
Peace
normal,
is not just
that
the
shame
absence
is
of
normal,
conflict,
that
but the
working
presence
yourself
of
into
understanding
exhaustion with
between
nothing to
people.
show for it
Let us strive
is
for
just
that.
how life
Come
is.
back to the
Your
study.
children are
It
watching
is not
you.
enough to
They
simply
are
act.
learning
We
from
must
you,
strive to
not from
understand
what you
why
say,
we act.
from what you
That is the
do,
true path
from
to
how you
wisdom.
carry yourself,
The
from the
texts
weight
teach us
they see in
that
your eyes
true
when the bills come.
understanding
If you break
comes
free,
from
you teach them
quiet
that freedom is
reflection.
possible, that
Peace
courage
be
is
with you.
real, that
In
covenant
today's
works,
reading, we
that
find
there
a
is always a
timeless
way
lesson
forward,
about
even when the
patience
way
and
seems blocked.
understanding.
If you stay
Peace is
trapped,
not just the
you teach
absence
them
of
that they will
conflict,
be trapped
but the
too.
presence of
This is
understanding
generational.
between people.
The Torah
Let
speaks
us
of
strive for
visiting the
that.
iniquity
Come
of the
back to the
fathers
study.
upon the children
It is
to the
not enough
third
to
and fourth
simply act. We
generation.
must strive
This does
to
not mean
understand
God
why we
punishes
act.
children for their
That is the
parents'
true
sins.
path to
It
wisdom.
means patterns.
The texts
Repeat.
teach us
Consciousness
that true
passes down.
understanding
Slavery
comes
becomes
from
inherited.
quiet reflection.
Your debt is not just your debt.
Peace be with
It
you.
is a pattern you are
In
either
today's
breaking or
reading, we
passing
find
on.
a timeless
So when you do
lesson
the
about
ritual tonight,
patience and
you are not just
understanding.
doing it for yourself.
Peace is not
You are
just the
doing it for
absence
your
of
children,
conflict,
for
but
your
the
children's
presence of
children.
understanding
You are
between
breaking a
people.
chain that may have
Let
been
us
around your
strive for that.
family's neck for
Come back to the
generations.
study.
This
It
is
is not
sacred
enough to
work.
simply act.
This is
We
the
must
work of
strive to
liberation.
understand why we
This is the
act.
work
That
Moses
is the
did.
true path
This
to
is the
wisdom.
work you are called
The
to do.
texts
Here is
teach
what you
us
need to know
that
about the
true
days after the
understanding
ritual. The
comes
first 3
from
days will
quiet
feel light.
reflection.
You will feel hopeful.
Peace be with
You
you.
will feel clear.
In today's
You will take
reading, we
action
find a
and it will feel
timeless
good.
lesson about
Then around day
patience
4
and
or 5,
understanding.
the old
Peace
consciousness
is
will try
not
to
just
come
the
back.
absence of
You will
conflict,
feel the
but the
doubt. You will
presence
feel
of
the fear. You will
understanding
think,
between people.
this is not
Let
working.
us strive for
Nothing
that.
has changed.
Come back to the study.
I am still in
It
debt.
is not enough to
This is
simply
normal.
act. We must
This is
strive to
expected.
understand why
This
we
is the
act.
moment when most
That is the
people
true
give up.
path to
Do
wisdom.
not give up.
The texts teach us
Consciousness of
that
slavery
true
does not die
understanding
easily. It
comes from
fights.
quiet
It whispers.
reflection.
It tells you that you were
Peace
foolish
be
to
with you.
believe things could
In
change.
today's reading,
When that
we find
happens,
a
you do the
timeless
ritual
lesson
again,
about patience
not because
and
the first
understanding.
ritual did not work,
Peace is not just
because
the absence of
consciousness
conflict,
needs
but the
reinforcement.
presence of
You do it
understanding
again.
between people.
And if you need to,
Let
you
us
do it
strive
again
for
the
that.
week after
Come
that.
back to the
I
study.
recommend doing
It
the
is not
ritual
enough to
once per
simply
week
act.
for
We
4
must
weeks.
strive to
Every
understand why
Thursday
we
night
act.
or every Friday
That
night.
is the true
Same
path to
time,
wisdom.
same place,
The texts
same
teach
materials.
us
Each
that
time you
true
do
understanding
it, the new
comes
consciousness
from
grows
quiet
stronger.
reflection.
The old consciousness grows
Peace
weaker.
be with you.
By the 4th week, the
In
shift will be
today's reading,
permanent.
we find
You
a
will have trained your
timeless
soul
lesson
to
about
operate from
patience
freedom
and
instead of
understanding.
slavery. But
Peace
only
is
if you
not
act
just
between
the
the
absence of
rituals.
conflict,
The ritual
but the
without
presence of
action is empty.
understanding between
Action
people.
without the
Let
ritual
us
is
strive for
exhausting.
that.
Come back
Together,
to the
they are
study.
unstoppable.
It is not
Let
enough
me
to
give you the
simply
3
act. We
most
must
important
strive to
actions you can
understand why
take
we
in your
act.
first week.
That is
First
the true
action,
path to wisdom.
make a complete list
The
of every
texts
debt,
teach us
every
that
creditor,
true
every
understanding
balance,
comes
every
from
interest
quiet
rate,
reflection.
every minimum payment.
Peace
Do
be
not
with you.
estimate.
In
Get the
today's
exact
reading,
numbers.
we find a
Log into
timeless
every
lesson
account.
about
Pull
patience
every
and
statement.
understanding.
Write it all down
Peace
in
is
one
not just
place.
the absence
This
of
will
conflict,
hurt.
but
You
the
will not
presence of
want to do it.
understanding
You
between
have probably
people.
been avoiding
Let
it
us
for
strive
months
for
or
that.
years,
Come back
but
to
you
the
cannot
study.
fight an enemy
It
you
is not
refuse
enough
to
to
look at.
simply act.
You
We
must see
must
the full
strive to
picture.
understand why
Once
we
you
act.
see it, you can
That is the true
strategize.
path to wisdom.
Second action,
The
call your
texts
3
teach us
highest
that
interest
true
creditors.
understanding
Tell them the truth.
comes from
Say,
quiet
I am in
reflection.
financial
Peace be
hardship.
with you.
I want to pay
In
this debt,
today's reading,
but I
we
cannot
find a
continue at
timeless
this interest
lesson
rate.
about patience
What programs
and
do you have
understanding.
available for people in
Peace
my
is not just
situation?
the absence
You
of
will be
conflict,
surprised how many
but the
creditors
presence of
will work with you
understanding
if you
between
ask.
people.
They would rather
Let us
reduce
strive
your
for that.
interest and keep
Come
you
back to the
paying
study.
than have you
It is not
default and
enough
pay
to simply
nothing.
act. We
But you must
strive
ask.
to understand
They will
why
not
we
offer
act.
it unless you
That is the
ask.
true path
Third
to
action.
wisdom.
Find
The
one source
texts
of
teach
additional
us
income you
that
can
true
start within 30
understanding
days.
comes
Not a
from
fantasy,
quiet reflection.
not a business that will take
Peace be
a
with
year
you.
to build.
In
Something
today's reading,
immediate,
we find a
freelance
timeless
work,
lesson about
part-time job,
patience and
selling things you
understanding.
own, offering a
Peace is
skill
not
you
just
have.
the absence of
Even an
conflict,
extra
but the
$400
presence
per
of
month
understanding
changes
between
everything.
people.
That is
Let us strive for that.
$4,800
Come
per
back to
year.
the study.
That is one
It is not
entire
enough to
debt paid
simply
off.
act. We must
Or
strive to
that is
understand
leverage
why
to
we act.
negotiate with creditors.
That is the true
Or
path
that is
to
a
wisdom.
buffer so you stop putting
The
emergencies
texts
on credit
teach us
cards.
that
These
true
3 actions will
understanding
take you less than
comes
10
from
hours
quiet
total.
reflection.
10 hours to change the
Peace be with
trajectory
you.
of your life.
In
If you
today's
are not
reading,
willing to
we find a
invest 10
timeless
hours,
lesson
you are
about
not
patience
serious
and
about freedom.
understanding.
You are serious about
Peace is not
complaining,
just
but
the
not about
absence of
changing.
conflict,
I know
but the
that sounds
presence of
harsh,
understanding
but I am
between
not
people.
here to make you
Let us
comfortable.
strive for that.
I am here
Come
to
back
make
to the
you
study.
free.
It
And
is not
freedom
enough to
requires
simply act.
discomfort.
We must strive
It
to
requires
understand
doing
why
things
we
you do
act.
not want to do.
That is the true
It
path
requires
to
facing
wisdom.
things you have been
The
avoiding.
texts
Comfort Comfort
us
is what got you
that
into
true
debt.
understanding
Freedom will get you
comes
out.
from quiet
Now,
reflection.
some of you are thinking,
Peace be
Rabbi,
with you.
I have
In
tried
today's
all this
reading,
before.
we find a
I have made
timeless
lists.
lesson about
I have
patience
called
and
creditors.
understanding.
I have
Peace
looked
is
for
not just
extra
the
income.
absence of conflict,
Nothing worked.
but the
I
presence
believe
of
you.
understanding
But here is the
between
question.
people.
When
Let
you
us
tried
strive for
before,
that.
what
Come
was
back
your
to the study.
consciousness?
It is
Were you
not enough to
operating from
simply
shame,
act. We must
from
strive to
fear,
understand
from
why
the
we
belief
act.
that you were trapped
That is the
and
true
this was just
path to
one more
wisdom.
futile
The
attempt?
texts
Or were you
teach us
operating from
that
covenant,
true
from the
understanding
knowledge that you are a
comes
child
from
of the
quiet
infinite,
reflection.
and debt is a
Peace be
temporary
with you.
condition,
In
not a
today's
permanent
reading, we
identity?
find a timeless
Consciousness
lesson about
determines outcome.
patience and
The same action
understanding.
taken from slave
Peace is not just
consciousness
the absence of
produces
conflict,
slave
but the
results.
presence of
The same
understanding
action taken
between
from
people.
free
Let
consciousness
us strive
produces
for
free
that.
results.
Come back to the
This
study.
is why the
It
ritual
is not enough
matters.
to simply
Not
act.
because
We
it
must strive
changes
to
the action,
understand why we
because it
act.
changes the
That is the true
consciousness
path
from
to
which
wisdom.
you take the action.
The texts
Before I
teach
close,
us that
I want to
true
tell you about the
understanding
moment you will know you
comes
are
from
free.
quiet
It will not
reflection.
be when the last debt is
Peace be
paid.
with you.
It will be
In
before that.
today's reading,
It will
we
be the
find a
moment when you look
timeless
at your
lesson
debt
about
and feel no
patience and
shame,
understanding.
no fear,
Peace
no
is not
panic,
just the absence
just
of
calm
conflict,
determination.
but the presence
You
of
will
understanding between
think,
people.
this is a
Let
problem,
us
I am
strive
solving
for
it.
that.
It
Come
will
back to
take
the
time,
study.
but I am solving
It is not enough to
When you can
simply
think
act.
that
We
thought
must
without your
strive to
chest
understand
tightening,
why we
without
act.
your breath
That
catching,
is the true
without the
path to
voice of
wisdom.
doom whispering in
The
your ear,
texts teach
you are
us
free.
that true
Even if you still owe
understanding
money, you are free.
comes from
Because
quiet
freedom is not a
reflection.
bank balance. Freedom
Peace
is a
be
state
with
of
you.
soul.
In
And once you
today's
have
reading,
that
we
freedom,
find a
no
timeless
creditor can
lesson
take
about
it from you.
patience and
No bill can
understanding.
shake it.
Peace
No
is not
emergency
just the
can
absence
destroy
of
it.
conflict,
You will
but
pay
the
your
presence
debts
of
because
understanding between
you
people.
choose to honor your
Let us strive
commitments,
for that.
not because
Come
you are
back
a
to the
slave to
study.
fear.
It is
That
not
is the
enough to
goal.
simply act.
That is
We
the
must
finish
strive
line.
to understand
That is
why
what we are
act.
building toward.
That is the
So
true path
tonight,
to
do
wisdom.
the ritual.
The
Tomorrow,
texts
take
teach
3
us
actions.
that true
Next week,
understanding
do the ritual
comes
again
from quiet
and take 3
reflection.
more actions. The
Peace
week
be
after
with you.
again. The
In
week after
today's
again.
reading, we find
Within
a
1 month,
timeless lesson
you will
about
be a different
patience
person.
and understanding.
Not because your debt is gone.
Peace is not just
because
the
your
absence of
consciousness is
conflict,
transformed.
but the presence
And
of
transformed
understanding
consciousness
between people.
attracts
Let us strive
solutions
for
that
that.
were
Welcome back to the
invisible
study.
before.
It is
If
not
you want to
enough
go
to
deeper,
simply
if you want
act.
the
We
full
must
system
strive
I
to
teach for
understand why
eliminating
we
debt
act.
and building
That is the
covenant-based
true
wealth,
path to wisdom.
I have a course.
The
It
texts
is called
teach
Torah
us
Wealth
that true
Foundation.
understanding
It is not cheap.
comes from
It
quiet
is
reflection.
$299. But
Peace
if you
be
are
with you.
serious,
In
if you are
today's
ready to
reading, we
commit, it
find
will
a
give you the
timeless
complete
lesson about
framework. I
patience
do not
and
need you to buy the
understanding.
course.
Peace
I
is
need
not
you to
just
do
the
the
absence
ritual.
of conflict,
I need you to
but the
take
presence
action.
of
That
understanding
is enough.
between people.
That is the
Let
beginning.
us strive
But
for
if
that.
you want the
Welcome
full
back to the
path,
study.
the course
It
is
is
there.
not enough to simply
Now I
act.
want you
We
to do
must strive
something.
to understand
In the
why
comments
we
below,
act.
I want you to write
That is
4
the true
words.
path to
I
wisdom.
begin my freedom
The
tonight.
texts
Not,
teach us
I hope to
that
begin.
true
Not,
understanding
I will try
comes
to
from
begin.
quiet
I
reflection.
begin. Present
Peace
tense.
be with you.
Definite.
In
Committed.
today's reading,
When you
we
write
find
those
a
words
timeless
publicly,
lesson about
you are making a
patience and
covenant.
understanding.
You are declaring your
Peace is
intention.
not just the
You are
absence
stepping
of
into the
conflict,
consciousness of
but the
freedom.
presence of
Do it now.
understanding between
Before you
people.
close this video,
Let us strive for
before
that.
you move on to
Welcome
the
back
next
to the
thing,
study.
write it.
It is not enough
I
to
begin
simply
my freedom
act. We
tonight,
must strive to
and then
understand
tonight.
why we act.
Before you sleep, gather
That is
your
the true
materials.
path to wisdom.
Do the ritual, burn the
The
paper, sit in
texts teach
silence,
us
write your 3
that
actions
true
for tomorrow,
understanding
and tomorrow
comes from
act.
quiet reflection.
This is not a suggestion.
Peace be
This
with
is
you.
not advice.
In today's
This is a
reading, we
command from
find
the
a
Torah,
timeless
from
lesson
the covenant
about
of your
patience and
ancestors,
understanding.
from the part of your soul
Peace
that
is not
remembers
just the
what it means
absence
to
of
be free.
conflict, but
You
the
were not
presence of
created to be a
understanding
slave to
between
debt.
people.
You were
Let us
created to
strive
be a
for that.
partner with the
Welcome back
infinite
to the
in the
study.
work of
It
creation,
is not enough
in
to
the building
simply
of
act. We
families,
must strive
in the
to
blessing
understand
of
why we
the
act.
world.
That is
Debt
the true
keeps you
path
small.
to wisdom.
Covenant makes you
The
large.
texts
Choose
teach us
covenant.
that
Choose
true
freedom.
understanding
Choose action.
comes
And
from
next time,
quiet
I will
reflection.
teach you the second ritual,
Peace be with
the
you.
ritual of
In today's
increase.
reading, we
Because
find
once
a
you have
timeless
broken the
lesson
consciousness
about
of debt,
patience
you
and
must build the
understanding.
consciousness of
Peace
abundance.
is not just
One
the
opens
absence
the
of
door,
conflict,
the other fills the
but the
house. But
presence
first
of
things first.
understanding between
Tonight,
people.
you do
Let
the
us strive
ritual
for
of
that.
Welcome
liberation.
back to the study.
Tomorrow, you
It
act.
is not enough to simply
Next week,
act. We
you do
must
it
strive
again.
to understand
Step
why
by
we
step,
act.
day
That
by
is the
day,
true path to
action
wisdom.
by action.
The
You will be
texts teach
free,
us
not someday,
that
soon,
true
sooner than you think,
understanding
but only if
comes
you
from
begin
quiet
tonight.
reflection.
Shalom, my friend. Until next
Peace
time.
be with you.